17 years ago, my husband Glenn started an IT company from scratch. And 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. We'd recently bought our first home. We needed my stable paycheck and benefits. But I also had a boss who, let's just say, was not family friendly. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship at the time. And the whole thing made me extremely nervous. Because if the business didn't start making more money soon, we weren't going to be able to pay all of our bills. And Glenn and I had already agreed upon one thing. Moving in with our parents was not going to happen. So there we were, baby on the way, brand new business, hell of a lot of pressure, and it didn't take long to recognize that when life gets challenging, the way we communicate is either going to pull us together or slowly pull us apart. What I didn't know yet was that over the next few years, thanks to EO, I'd learn better ways of communicating, ways that would change my marriage, my family, and the way I show up at work. Fast forward, baby arrives, business is growing, but I've just met parent Aspen and parent Glenn and entrepreneur Glenn to top it off. See, I'm a mom now, and a lot of my easygoing persona went right out the window. Glenn's working 7 days a week, often until 2 in the morning. I'm starving for adult connection by the time he gets home. And he's spent with little left to give. It was hard. So many people told me the first year of marriage was hard. The first year of parents was definitely the hardest for me. We had these new personalities that showed up, and then you throw on a brand new business on top of it, and we weren't always communicating well. Thankfully, Glenn joined EO early on. I started attending events with him, listening to speakers who shifted the way I thought about leadership, relationships, and growth. A year later, I left my corporate job and joined Glenn as head of HR for our company. I'm now learning things I can use both at the office and at home, and something started to change. I started to understand why he was working 7 days a week, and he started to understand more of what I was carrying at home. We were weighing priorities together. Then came the big aha moments for me. The first was an EO DISC workshop. For those of you not familiar with DISC, it's a behavioral assessment with 4 primary personality types. You've got D, I, S, and C. The D stands for dominance. People high in D are very direct and decisive. I is for influence. I's are sociable and persuasive. The S is for steadiness. S's are stable and dependable. And the C is for conscientious. C's are cautious. And I'm C, so I should know. Analytical, very analytical and cautious. And what I learned was simple. Glenn and I are complete opposites. He's high in D and I, and I'm high in S and C. And when you put us under stress, that can show up as demanding or abrasive from Glenn, or critical and withdrawn from me. We were unintentionally frustrating each other for years. I was thinking Glenn was just being rude or dismissive. He's thinking I'm overthinking everything. We both often thought the other person was just being difficult. And then I realized something. The D didn't stand for Dick. He was just waiting for me to get to the point. And I was waiting for him to explain the purpose. And that's when it clicked. It wasn't personal. It wasn't disrespect. And it wasn't lack of care. It was wiring. And as soon as I understood that, everything softened. Instead of thinking, why is he doing that? I started thinking, okay, that's how he's built. We started to divide responsibilities based on strengths. He pushes me when I get stuck in analysis paralysis, and I slow things down enough for him to make sure the details are solid. And when communication starts going sideways, we now have language for it. We can actually laugh and say, that's your high D showing up, or there's my high C again. It removed the judgment. Then came the next big aha moment, the 5 Love Languages book. I realized something else. We were loving each other the way we wanted to be loved, but not the way the other person actually feels loved. My top languages are quality time and acts of service. So I'm scheduling time together, doing helpful things. But Glenn's, his are physical touch and words of affirmation. An EO friend once joked, so you mean all I have to do is give him a hug and tell him he's amazing? And honestly, kind of. I was doing all of these things that meant a lot to me, but they weren't necessarily filling his tank. When I started speaking in his love languages, I could see his mood change. And it didn't stop in our marriage. One of my sons is clearly physical touch too. He gives long, lingering, but amazing hugs. And I'll be honest, I used to always pull away early when I was busy. I now always wait for him to let go first, because I now know what that moment means. And that's where this turns into legacy for me. When we think about legacy, we often think about what we build. For me, I think about what we model, the tone of our home, the way we repair after conflict, the way we speak to each other under pressure, because our kids are watching, our teams are watching, and honestly, we're shaping each other every day. What I've learned over the years is this: we are not stuck. Not in our relationship dynamics, not in our communication patterns, and not in this is just who we are. When we get curious instead of defensive, when we try to understand instead of win, when we adopt a growth mindset in our relationships the same way we do in business, everything changes. For me, legacy is this: learning a better way, living it, and passing it on. Because when our relationships grow, our businesses grow, and our families grow, and we grow. And that's the kind of legacy that lasts. So here's my invitation to you. Pick one relationship that matters and get curious. Choose growth there. Because when one relationship changes, the ripple effects can last a lifetime. Thank you.